What's up, guys? Happy New Year. I don't remember if I did a post on anything in a while, but I think I have. Or no, I posted a workout video, a short version. But I wanted to hop on here to maybe either serve as a reminder or begin to heal, to operate in what you know, right? Now, I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna see if I can look this up as I am talking about it, but look up the Bible verses for it. So forgive me. Let me get my screen ready real quick. Because I want to make sure that I'm clear in how I reference this. Okay. So first thing, it just stirred up my spirit a little bit. I was reading an article on LinkedIn very briefly. I didn't go into too many details, but very briefly, and it just caught my eye. And the name of the article, go look it up and maybe come back with your thoughts. The article name was Why Black Women Hurt Each Other in the Workplace. And in thinking about that, I was on a social media platform, and somehow, I guess one black female content creator and another black female content creator were saying things, but I've noticed I've seen that often. I'm seeing it often, right? But also it happens in the workplace too. And then if we're all content creators, essentially social media is the workplace, all right? So, me personally, it's so important. It's so important for us to really take time to heal. Because one of the highlights in that article, it talks about hurt people. When we're constantly exposed to hurts and traumas and turmoils, to the perils of the workplace, right? Our body's gonna hold on to that. Long time ago, read articles, read books about how the body holds on to trauma, personal interactions, events that may have hurt you. Your brain is going to keep that. And as a result of your brain holding on to that, you're going to repeat that cycle over and over again. But thinking about how the Bible works, and knowing that I'm reading in the book of Acts, knowing how effective praying and fasting happens, is so important that we get in a position to prepare our hearts and our minds to be able to pray and fast, because fasting happens when we really need God's whole hand into something, and we need an answer fast and quick, and a powerful answer. And as someone who has gone through a number of things, still praying for healing on different things, but that's why prayer and fasting is so effective. I will say this, there is a young lady on here. Her name is Prophetess Tiffany Montgomery. If you have not gone to her page by now, her page and then her Covered by God page, if you have not done that yet, I highly encourage you to do it today. She, in conjunction with the Word of God, I'm so thankful that God has led her into my life. And God has spoke to her teaching a large community of praying and fasting. Awesome teacher, and she has included other individuals in that teaching. Awesome. So I highly encourage you, if you want to know more about praying and fasting, talk to God. Allow him to give you discernment of what I'm telling you is valid. And if God is telling you that that's valid, then I highly recommend you to go to Tiffany Montgomery page and learn about praying and fasting. Say all that to say that praying and fasting is so effective in God and you asking God to break those strongholds. A lot of us need those strongholds broken. Some of us like to eat a lot. Some of us are lazy. Some of us have a lot of strongholds going on. I'm not exempt, so I ain't gonna sit up here and fake like I'm perfect, because I'm not. So, but to the point that Black women hurt each other in the workplace often is the sense of hurt. You know, we've experienced that hurt, and then because we've had it ongoing for years upon years upon years, it's almost natural for us to kind of do the same. Right? That's kind of the first point that that article talked about. The second point that it talked about was oftentimes Black women mimic their white counterparts. Me personally, I can't relate. I can't relate because I am a firm believer that I don't want to work anywhere where I cannot be myself. I'm not doing it. And I have been in situations before where, you know, I was told to adopt a culture. It's giving cult. So, that's what it's giving. That's what it's giving. It's weird. So, I actually ran into a colleague of mine where she had talked about not wearing braids to a conference. I wore braids to a conference and presented. I'm not going anywhere where I cannot be myself. It's weird. So, but that's just me personally. And the reason why I really embrace that is because God made me, you know, not too many Patrices roaming around here. So, I honor that, and I want to make sure I honor God in that, and making sure that I am myself and that individuals see God in me more than anything else, than me just adopting to a culture and just it's weird. So, but we're talking about work here. We're talking about the workplace. We're not talking about nothing else right now. We talk about the job. Okay. The crazy thing is that what I think, and this just came to me, the crazy thing is that we're so quick to, when a prophet or prophetess or a pastor, an apostle talks about sin, repentance of sin, and brings up a particular sin that we know we ain't got no business doing, but because culture has allowed us or forced us to try to adopt to it, we're real touchy. The Bible, rough translation, the Bible in the Message version in Romans 12:1-2 basically says, don't get so well adjusted into basically the surroundings around you that you'll adjust without even thinking. Rough translation. So, but we just have to be very careful of that. Like, God set us apart for a reason. So important, because we can get swallowed up in the culture and things around us and spit us back out. So we talking about the job. We're not talking about nothing else. We're talking about the job. So, but talking about mimicking our white counterparts, and you know, sometimes that's a thing. That ain't no thing for me. I cannot. I have been in a situation where I was forced to adopt this particular culture of being mean. That's not for me. And that's why I said no thanks to leadership. So, but I mean, to a certain extent, let me not say no thanks to leadership, because I have no idea where God's going to take me. Okay. I'm still relatively young, so I don't know where God's going to take me into leadership. He might bring me back into leadership. So, but with just new lessons and a new way of thinking things, of putting him first before I make a decision. So there's that. The next thing it talked about is imposter syndrome, which I think ties closely into us internalizing hurt, and so much so that we spew it back out because we have so much of it in us. That is a very real thing. I have dealt with that on a couple of occasions, but I've only really dealt with that when I would be in leadership roles. And that's the other reason why I stepped down for leadership for a little while, because of that. And it's so important that we have to remember that the things that we do, the things that we're able to do and do well, all of that is all God. because he's the creator of everything. Okay, he created you, me. He created the person that made the acrylic nail as to why mine fell off, but also he created our nails. He created everything. Everything. Get that in your mind. He created everything. You cannot take credit for what you do on your job. I don't, okay? Because God gave me the ability to be an educator, and I'm so thankful that God gifted me that ability to be an educator. And so, yeah. So anyway, I pulled this up according to the Bible. It says here in, let me see, that should pull up Colossians 3:23 through 24. Paul had this in mind when he said, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. You are serving the Lord Christ. So, yeah, you get a paycheck from whomever, you know what I'm saying? But ultimately, yeah, you can't take credit for that. You can't take credit for that. I mean, I'm not sitting up here going to tell you you should not take credit for it. I'm telling you, I'm not giving you an option. I'm giving you a fact. You cannot take credit for the stuff that you can do on your job, because you think about it, there's everywhere, you know, things are looking like a recession if we're not already in it, and you're employed. Thank God that you're employed in times like this, because it could be us on the corner. Some of us are working paycheck to paycheck. Some of us are a paycheck away from eviction. Okay? Some of us are legit living paycheck to paycheck. And so once we have established that God is our CEO, our boss, our president, our supervisor, our timesheet signer, whatever the case may be, once you get that in your mind, some of us are we're more trusting of the employer making a direct deposit in our bank account than we are in trusting God of working things out in your favor. We got millions of questions for God as to why we can't get this and but we don't question, did they get the right bank information to put your check in the bank account, if you get my drift. But anyway, and so imposter syndrome is a very real thing, but that's the reason why I talked earlier about praying and fasting, because it's so important that we seek who our identity is, where our identity is. And then me personally, this is just off the cuff, we have to get rid of this whole mean girl concept. I don't know where that came from, to be very honest with you. It's, what? You're in your 40s and you're mean. Why? Why? And I ask why because some of us really need to take inventory. I have had to do it. I'm still doing it. That ain't never gonna stop. But some of us really need to take inventory and think about what it is as to why we act the way we act on the job, or what it is that I'm trying to figure out. Oh, that's my hair. What it is that people are mean to us, or they're turning their back on us, or they don't have pleasant things to say. Some of us legit got a whole mean girl complex on us. Some of us, like I personally, I don't like to engage in that too much. People talking about someone else's appearance. You know what I'm saying? I learned this a long time ago, that I'm not one to judge. So just to be real, I'm kind of body shy. So because of that, I don't really engage in someone else's appearance too much. Girl, if you want to get a BBL, do you? You know what I'm saying? If you want a facelift, do you? You know what I'm saying? Listen, I'm trying to make sure, I want Botox here, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make sure nothing moves. You know, I want all the injections to keep these wrinkles. Look, I'm trying to look like my mama, okay? And my grandma, because they were wrinkle free for forever. Let me tell you something. So I mean, do whatever. If you feel as if that God has called you into taking care of yourself and maintain your appearance in that fashion, in that form, then fine. Listen, I don't ask no questions, okay? As long as It ain't hurting you or anybody else, okay? I'm with it, okay? But I think with imposter syndrome, like I said, we just have to get rid of this whole mean girl complex. We have to stop really over analyzing what people look like their body type. Sometimes, now in the case of me, I'm trying to get ready for a wellness competition, so yeah, you gotta analyze what I look like. But I guess in a sense of, does that make you feel good when you start talking about somebody else because they don't have this? Me personally, I like name brands, but I have learned, you know what I'm saying? I didn't always have this good job. I have learned that I can look good with clothes coming from TJ Maxx. Shoot, I can look good with clothes coming out of Walmart, okay? So it has nothing to do with the label. It's everything about style, because you could style yourself down with some Walmart clothes, okay? But we just have to get rid of this mean girl complex as a result of imposter syndrome and the trauma and the hurt that we just want to pass on to. And some of us are basically repeating the things our parents done, and we just don't really know it. We haven't internalized it. And we have to be careful of that. Some of us, we do it so without thinking. We are repeating the things that our parents did, and we just don't think twice about it. We just do it. We just think it's normal. Some of us are operating in that right now. It's normal. For example, I'll give you one example. I love my brothers. Would do anything for them, right? Except, if they're guilty, they're guilty, okay? So, but the thing with me is that because I am the oldest daughter, it is almost I do this very unconsciously. Like, I just do it. If something arises, I'm almost literally gonna go into figure this out mode. That's because that's what my mother did, right? And so only as of recently, I've learned to be like, nah, no, can't do it. Hey, I can help you, I'll support you, but you tell me what it is you want me to do, and I'll support you. I'll find a way to support you. I don't always have the answers. And that's not to push people away, but that's to establish a boundary that's healthy for you, to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And part of that is because I've personally experienced traumas and issues around taking on too much and worrying too much, and then resulted in a health scare. And you just don't want all that. So I kind of got off on a tangent here, but anyway, so I just wanted to point that out. I think one of the things that we have to be mindful of is that we have a job to do, and we want to work, we want to maintain a lifestyle, you want to maintain a house, car, everything. That's fine, but we have to remember who our ultimate supreme answer is, because he's the creator of everything. Yeah, you report to a supervisor, but who does your supervisor report to? Yeah, that person reports on up, but at the end of the day, they report to a higher power. So I just wanted to get on here, make sure that leaders, especially my sisters, if you have a major decision to make about anything on the job or in life, consult God first. Consult him first. Seek his kingdom first, and see what he tells you he needs you to do. Because trust me when I tell you, when you get that word, it's loud and it's clear and it's not confusing. Be blessed.